This video is dedicated to Christian Roberts. Christian, thank you. Hello all, just a quick one before we get started. This is a Patreon build given to me by Christian Roberts, long-time patron of the channel. And Christian gave me this Yawgmoth Thran Physician deck. He said it's a Super Friends type deck. I don't think there's all that many Planeswalkers in it, to be honest. Looking over at the deck list on my other screen, there's actually only 9 in here. So I think it's more of a value-based deck. There is some discard shenanigans in here, like Waste Not. There's Tergrid as well, Painful Quandary. So it's a little bit of a discard sub-theme Planeswalker deck. And he also told me that there are 2 cuts that need to be made. And upon looking at it, the cuts that I think are best to be made are... I can't see the use for Buried Alive in this deck. And there's also, where is it? Final Parting as well, which is a similar card. This could be a 5-mana tutor and then maybe reanimate the other card that you put into the bin. But the only other reanimation spell we really have is Sheoldred, and it's a very slow one. A very good card, but a very slow one. If we were to go Sheoldred, go around the table, reanimate something on that turn, and then go Buried Alive, we would... yeah, we'd probably have to leave Sheoldred in play for another 3 turns or so just to get the full use out of the Buried Alive. And going for the Buried Alive paints an even bigger target on Sheoldred's head. I suppose we could go for Buried Alive beforehand, but then you're just loading up your graveyard, begging it to be exiled. If it gets exiled, you lose some decent creatures. We've only got 14 creatures in the deck, so assuming that you went for your best ones with Buried Alive, they've just gone. And there's no real fast way of reanimating them, like the turn later, or on the same turn even, going for Living Death or Rise of the Dark Realms, something like that. There's nothing like that in this deck, so the reanimation is a very, very small niche sub-theme of the deck, so the 2 cuts I think are going to have to be Buried Alive and Final Parting in this instance, because the only thing with regards to reanimation that I can see are the Reanimate and the Sheoldred. So just wanted to cover that. Only 34 lands in the deck as well, but there is plenty of ramp, so hopefully that will work out for us. Yawgmoth Thran Physician versus Jorn, God of Winter, Glissa the Traitor, and Karametra, God of Harvests. 2-lander, not the best opening hand. Hopefully we'll get into a creature that we can actually make use of Sword of the Animus with. We'll keep that one. A turn 1 play from Jorn is Wayfarer's Bauble. And we draw into Bolas' Citadel, getting into some heavy cards unfortunately. Let's just throw down the Swamp and pass. And then nothing to report on the other 2 players, just the Wayfarer's Bauble being cracked on turn 2 by the 3-colour player here. And there we get into the Swamp, which makes that extra planar lens look better. Yeah, we will maybe have to go for extra planar lens unfortunately, but Sword of the Animus for now. Be nice to see another Swamp next turn. Nothing on turn 2 for Karametra either, a Phyrexian Arena for the Glissa player. A Boreal Outrider for Jorn, obviously a snow deck. Lots of snow permanents in play at the moment. And we do get into that Swamp, so I feel better than I would do otherwise. Going for the extra planar lens here. Risky against all these green players, especially with Karametra having mana held up, but we'll go for the extra planar lens. It will make these Swamps tap for double mana. It won't affect these ones though. I was worried that would be a Reclamation Sage there, but it is Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. The first commander of the game is Glissa the Traitor, making use of all that extra mana. He gets a Wayfarer's Bauble of his own there as well. And the other 3-mana commander coming into play, Jorn, God of Winter, and it will get the plus counter on it thanks to the Boreal Outrider. Another snow permanent in Cold Steel Heart. And then the 3-2 comes in at us, we don't have any blockers. This deck is brought to us by Christian Roberts, by the way. Big thank you to him for supporting the channel on Patreon at the Mythic tier. You can support on Patreon as well via the link in the description below if you'd like to. Big thank you to you if you decide to do that. And a big thank you to Christian Roberts as well, of course. Thespian Stage would be nice if it was a swamp, because we could plate and crack Burnished Heart in one turn cycle. Unfortunately, we can't do that, so I think we just have to go Burnished Heart like that. And we'll equip it up with the Sword of the Animist, and then we'll be able to swing in with it next turn, and then sacrifice it, gets us an additional land that way. And another commander is Karametra, God of Harvest, still 7 cards in hand over there. Now the Golgari player has got down a Thespian Stage of his own. 7 cards in hand there as well. And again, making use of the double mana, hopefully that duplicant doesn't go onto our Burnished Heart. That'll feel really bad. Nope, goes on to the Jorn, which is probably a good idea because they do have a decent number of snow permanents to untap. And then the commander, putting 3 points of commander damage onto Karametra. Thanks to all the mana that Jorn's been able to generate, getting the god straight back into play again. And again comes in with the plus counter on it. The 3-2 turns in towards Karametra. And it looks as though we're going to be able to make use of the Burnished Heart. That's really good. A Cabal Coffers is excellent as well, because we're going to have plenty of swamps. So let's go about swinging in first. Might as well deal some damage. And we will go in at the Karametra as well. Get a swamp into play tapped from the ability of swinging in thanks to the Sword of the Animist. We'll deal 3 damage. And then we will sacrifice the Burnished Heart for 3 mana. And that triggers the Glissa. They can return an artifact from graveyard to hand whenever a creature dies, so they'll get the Wayfarer's Bauble back. So making 3 swamps this turn, we can throw down the Cabal Coffers as our land for the turn. And Cabal Coffers generates 5 mana. So we'll attempt to get down our commander as well. And they've gone for the classic Karametra Enchantress list by the looks of it. I have pretty much turned my Karametra Enchantress deck into the Citrus, is it called? Sidris? Forget what the name of that commander is from Modern Horizons, but 2 mana Enchantress in the command zone basically. Herald of the Pantheon as well, makes enchantments cost 1 less. It's noteworthy that the Thespian Stage can become a copy of Cabal Coffers, but they don't have all that many swamps in play at the moment. I assume they've got Urborg in the list though. They have Yavimaya Hollow in play now as well, to regenerate a creature. And there we have ourselves a Decree of Pain. I didn't think our commander would stick around for much longer. They're already at 7 cards in hand. I think that's a bit of a funny board wipe. They will draw themselves up to 15. Could keep our commander in the bin and try and reanimate it with Sheoldred, but I think that's a pretty risky play, so we'll put Yawgmoth in the command zone again for now. And playing out the Wayfarer's Bauble again. Did get the duplicant back to his hand, by the way, so staying at 15 cards in hand. Oh, that's a scary one after a board wipe. Kodama of the East Tree. And then playing a land triggers the Kodama of the East Tree, and they'll get another land into play. 2 cards left in hand there. And we get into another swamp. I think that actually makes a difference this turn, because I was thinking of Sheoldred and playing an equipping Sword of Truth and Justice. I think we'll have mana for Thespian Stage onto Cabal Coffers as well. So we'll get down the Sheoldred. That'll be a good means of dealing with the Kodama, hopefully. Then we'll play the Sword of Truth and Justice and put that onto the Sheoldred. And we'll throw Sword of the Animist onto the Sheoldred as well. Might as well ramp a little bit more with that. We'll hold up the other 2 mana for Thespian Stage and pass the turn at that, I think. The Sheoldred now has Pearl White and Blue and Swamp Walk. Mirari's Wake for the Enchantress player, an Anthem and a mana doubler. Glissa the Traitor coming out again after the board wipe. They'd be best to get another creature into play so that they don't lose it to the Sheoldred. 8 cards in hand, so they ought to be able to play something at least. I think they can actually afford the duplicant here. Instead going for Vraska, so we may well just lose the Sheoldred here. Which is a shame, because it was the Kodama I was looking to get rid of, really. So there we are, managing to lose the Sheoldred, the Whispering one. And didn't actually look at what they discarded to hand size before. They are grabbing themselves a Nile Spellbomb. So probably looking to get rid of our stuff, because we have shown a little bit of reanimation. I don't think there's that much in the deck as we went over before. There's a Mindslaver in the bin. Golgari Signet, Wormcoil Engine. A duplicant has been discarded as well. And then it's just some lands, and they do play the Nile Spellbomb. Another land comes into play, and the Kodama sticks with us, so hopefully they don't have a big spell to cast into that. I think they got another land down there because they are down to 1 card in hand and might be able to play it out for free, because they did cast their Jorn commander, and the last card in their hand was a swamp, so empty-handed, but plenty of mana to play whatever it is that they will draw into. And yeah, fully assumed that our opponent was going to swing in at us because we do have plenty of mana, so there's no danger in just making a copy of Cabal Coffers here. So now we have ourselves 2 Cabal Coffers and Torment of Hailfire. So if we go Cabal Coffers, generate 6 mana, go down to 4 and get another 6 mana is 10. And then 10 from the swamps is 20 in total, that is 18 into X. So yeah, I think we're a ways away from doing Torment of Hailfire just yet. Let's throw down the Bolas's Citadel. And there is a Gauntlet of Power to give our opponents even more mana. Might be worth doing though, because of the Torment of Hailfire, so yeah, we'll get that down. A Sword of Feast and Famine is a nice one as well, to protect us against the Vraska. So we'll throw that into play as well. Obnixilis on top can create... Could get a demon into play with that, I suppose. Yeah, let's cast that. We're losing a lot of life here. Sorin Markov as well. Yeah, we'll certainly make some enemies at the table doing all this. But I do want to go Sorin Markov so that we can shoot that Vraska, gain a tiny bit of life back as well. Haven't played a land yet, wouldn't have done if I'd drawn into one for that exact reason. Wow, a Cryptghast. Okay, so maybe minusing down the Sorin to make it so that someone's life total is 10 might be a good idea. Let's go Cryptghast. So each of our swamps taps for 4 mana now. So we go into Cabal Coffers with 2 floating, that'll be 6 and 8 in total, then 4, 8, 12, 16 and 20. So what would that be? 28. Let's minus down the Obnixilis. And I don't think I'll necessarily benefit from ultimating the Sorin right now, so maybe tapping out into the Torment of Hellfire is the thing to do here. We don't have any haste, unfortunately, otherwise we could untap all of our lands. So we make a total of 9 mana with the Cabal Coffers and the 2 floating. And that is 29 mana. Let's just put it all into the Torment of Hellfire. So X is 27. We didn't hold up any mana for the Extort, which maybe I should have done. We are at 6 life here. And the Karametra player just concedes. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that anyone can do about this. There might have been free counter magic here, except they are empty-handed. And this player scoops as well, so yeah, some pretty lucky top decks there. Full grip of 7 here, but they decided to scoop that up as well, so yeah, like I said, some pretty good top decks there with the Bolas's Citadel. Had to pretty much consume all of our life, but when we kept getting into mana doublers and stuff like that, well, obviously it's well worth it with a Torment of Hellfire in hand. Was looking pretty sketchy in the early game, but managed to make use of the Burnished Heart and the Sword of the Animist to make enough swamps to make the Cabal Coffers relevant. Hopefully you all enjoyed this one. Be sure to let me know in the comments section if you did. And a big thank you to Christian Roberts for supporting the channel at the Mythic tier and giving me this deck to play with this month. Be sure to comment, like and subscribe on the channel to help with the YouTube algorithms. That will help the videos to get out to more people. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.